as we talk about the age 40 specifically, I think we're getting to the point where people who made a career out of health and fitness are getting to that age or are above that age now. And now it's like, how many coaches have you seen um, discover powerlifting and then all their clients have squat bench dead in their program? Or they take a plyometric seminar and now all their clients have plyometrics in their warm up. And I think it's the same sort of thing. It's like that kind of lack of filtering criteria where they've built an audience, they've built a career out of health and fitness. And now it's this, their next epiphany is that, oh, this is what happens when you're 40. I'm an expert on this because I'm 43. And we're getting to that point where like social media and like people's presence is like overarching with that age group. And it's like the first generation to really get to their 40s in health and fitness on social media. And that's why, like this is now a thing. And I think that's like part of where this is born, is that like you can't, and it's happened to me, it's happened to you, I've seen it with like all of our friends, is like your evolution through how you train is you're going to go from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And like, there's always going to be some sort of vein that kind of the principles will carry you through all of those things. But a lot of people get into training from some sort of sport. And I remember like what my training looked like back then, like when I was wrestling or just getting out of wrestling, getting into CrossFit, then getting into weightlifting, and now just being in more general strength training, which I think is like kind of where most people end up by the time they're in their 30s, 40s, and so on and so forth, before we get into the longevity phase, which is another buzzword in the fitness industry. But I think what that means is that like people are understanding the way that they train as they age and these kind of phases that they go through, and they're starting to preach that message because it's very relevant to them, and they have a platform of people that have been following them or listening to them or coming to them for content for a period of time, where kind of their main group of consumers or their audience is probably starting to hit that point in their training relevancy. And that's why these things start to get pushed on them, where it's like, all right, the majority of our listeners or our followers, if you go into your insights, they're between 35 and 52. So let's find this program that's going to kind of hit that hump on the bell curve. And I think some of it is calculated. It is a bit like of a marketing spin, but I think at the same time, it's that same idea of like, all right, this is what's relevant to the people that are preaching this at this point. Because I've written plenty of programs for people that are 40, 50, 60s. I've never marketed a program for 40 plus men that want to feel healthy or longevity and other buzzwords.
I mean, I thought my hot take was hot. That's a blistering hot take. The men over 40 that's the equivalent of like the box jump.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, oh, someone tried it once and
yeah,
it's a new thing. Yeah. Man, I just looked, I can't help but think of this from a business perspective, because it is also obviously a marketing tool. I just think it's like, if you're someone whose business is reliant on a frame shift, a rebrand, then your product isn't good enough. Right. Like when I assess that, and obviously look, I'm sure there's great coaches out there that do a great job and they bang this drum. But I would say by and large, if you're reliant on these type of acquisition tropes, if you're reliant on like a specific vein, because I think, and we talked about this on a podcast recently, it's like the better the coach you become, the more of a generalist you become. I truly believe that. And I think coaching is good to start in specifics. Like, I think it's good to be able to build trust in a small part of the community and then be able to go more broad. And I think one of the things that you do when you market yourself this way, or you aim for a particular audience, is you actually go from general to specific, which I actually don't think is the arc of a successful coach. I think a successful coach, as you get more experience under your belt, you become more able to take on more populations, more complex problems, right? More interesting cases, more people who have tried everyone and done everything. I think you do get, if you're working on your product, your repertoire of your knowledge base, your actually, the hard and soft skills of coaching, I think you actually become more capable to work with more people of all populations, of all decades of life. So I really think it's a self-limiting practice, number one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've deliberately taken on clients and patients outside of my kind of preordained wheelhouse. Like, you get into the sports, and we start coaching coaches, and you just end up with clients that kind of look the same.
Mm-hmm.
And then any opportunity I get to like work with someone of an older population, or a complicated rehab case, I'll take it, because I want to, at the end of the day, when we stop doing whatever this is that we do for a living, I want to be able to, like, I had a lot of experience, right? And experience, to your point earlier, it's like, it's not just time going by, right? One of my favorite quotes is from that James Bond movie where he sits down next to the quartermaster, and it's like this kid with thick frame glasses, and they're staring at I forget what the painting was, something in like the Albert and was it the Albert and Victoria Museum in London, and he hands him his little package with his gun and his watch with his little beeper. Bond looks at him, and he's all kind of washed up, and he's like, Jesus Christ, like, you still have spots, indicating that the kid is really young. And the kid goes, age is no sign of experience. And then Bond looks at him and goes, yeah, but youth is no sign of innovation. And they both kind of like have a laugh and walk away. And I think that, right? Like, I know a lot of people who do this very thing, right? Who have a roster of clients and a nothing but a wallpaper of transformation photos of 40-year-old. It's like if Epstein Island was with a bunch of 40-year-olds in their underwear. It's just like a bunch of that. And this is their whole fucking marketing. And it's like, you have no experience.
Yeah.
You've coached people for X number of years, 40 years or whatever it is, but you actually have no experience. You have one experience. You have the experience of the man over 40. And it's like, I don't know, man. I've had clients. My oldest client was well into their late 70s, maybe would have tipped over 80 at some point. And I've trained kids as young and get trained. Obviously, at that age, it looks a little bit different, but I've worked with kids under the age of 10.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's experience, right? Like, you are getting a feel for different types of populations with different types of problems that you have to learn how to solve. And some of the problems are more dependent with their chronological age, and some are completely independent to their chronological age. So I think from a longevity perspective of the coach going down this road, know that there's not a lot of longevity in it, because one, it shows me that you are kind of going the tide. Like, oh, I the coach turned 40. Now I can talk to 40-year-olds. I couldn't talk to them before. It's like, motherfucker, yes, I could. Yes, I absolutely could. I was 18 years old training 40-year-olds. They're like, hey, you come listen to me. Now, you probably shouldn't have listened to me as 18, because I know a lot more now at 35 than I did at 18. But tell you what, the 18-year-old version of myself knew fucking circles around the 40-year-old clients that I trained, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have to be fucking 40 to train them, right? So it's just like some pretty basic principles. So like, I kind of want to put the ball in the court of people who go down that and similar practices, right? Like, anytime you're following the bullshit of advice of whoever social media business coach told you to like be very specific with your audience, it's like, do you want to do this? Like, do you want to do this in 5 years or 10 years? And if you do you want to be good at it? And do you want to enjoy it? Because I think, like, like learning and training, variation is kind of the underpinning to learning, right? And if you just fucking have the same, right, like your intake sheet is, have you felt tired? It's like, oh, here comes the testosterone. Like, here, I know this move. Or, like, do you wake up in the middle of the night? Or it's just the same thing. It's like you get stale, you get dull, right? You don't you don't stay sharp. right? So I just think like, regardless of, what specific group, if you're trying to get specific in this, you're holding yourself back. I truly think that being able to train, anything up to like Seabiscuit, you should be able to train. Like,
Yeah.
I'd probably figure out how to train horses for the Derby too. Like, I could probably sort that out at this stage of my career because I have experience. But if
Right.
you're only experiencing, oh, sorry, you have a 12-year-old, can't help you. I only know men that watch too much Law and Order. Like, what is your niche here, dude? Like, why did you do that to yourself?
Yeah. No, I think that's the hottest take of them all, is that experience trumps all. And like, it's it's interesting to me because I've been doing this long enough, you as well, that like I have clients, I've had clients over the last decade of like every walk of life, like professional athletes, like people that are older with injuries, people that are younger that want to get into sports or like don't know how to move, people with like crazy surgeries, brain injuries, like all sorts of shit that it's like, all right, when I look at someone that I'm training, like if I have three clients I'm working with right now, one's a professional athlete and two are just like older people, very well. The way that I'm looking at designing their training is no different. It's literally no different. It's just the stimulus that each of those is going to get is dependent on where they're at right now and what their capacity is in each of these kind of subsets of qualities that I'm trying to train. And I look at the program, I look at the day of training pretty much exactly the same. It's almost like copy and paste the format, and then we're just going to go into each text bubble and kind of or each cell and change the stimulus of the exact same intention. Right. If I need shoulder function, that might look different for a professional athlete versus someone in their 60s, but it's still, the intention is the same. And if you can pull it back to like, we're all fucking humans. We're walking around on 2 feet. We have 2 arms that, we should be able to get over our head. Now we need to look at someone's ability to do those things. And that's where we fill in the gaps on this. And I don't want to say it's gotten easy or it's gotten like boring for me, because I don't think it has. There's always a challenge to it because there's the user end, there's the interaction between the person that's actually going to get this program or kind of be receiving this stimulus, and that's what keeps it new and kind of fresh, and you have to kind of play the man in that scenario. But the process of writing a program, I can do it in between A1 and A2,
Yeah.
right? And it's every single day I do it. Like I have a plan going in and the plan changes based on the feedback from the user end. And I'm like, all right, let's pivot today. This was the intention. I have 100 different things where I can fulfill that intention. So let's make sure we pick the one that is most correct at this time for this person. And it becomes really simple when you could zoom out and look at it that way. And I don't think there's ever really any necessity to, I mean, yes, it can help you kind of categorize if we have specific qualities of the subset of the population, but it's rare that age is the determining factor of the exercise that I'm going to give someone. Like I have 20-year-olds that I've worked with that are in much worse shape than 50, 60, 70-year-olds that I've worked with. And it's like, all right, this is going to be much more regressed for this 20-year-old than it is this 50-year-old because of the way that they're presenting to me right now. And the way that I'm starting to look at this as we go through this conversation, like the idea of specializing and niching down into this specific subset of people that is overly specific, that doesn't necessarily need to be narrowed down in this way. It's like, it's kind of playing the algorithm in the way that you're programming. And it's like, this is going to be a flash in the pan, and you're going to have to produce something else that'll pick up the algorithm in, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 months from now. And it's like, the way that this is dumb, but this is the analogy that comes to mind for me is like fashion brands. Like there's fashion brands that are like kind of classic and they've been around and they'll always be around because they have like, I don't know, fashion's always changing. And I'm wearing a fucking Bucky's t-shirt right now. Like I'm not the one to talk to about fashion, but there's brands that will always be relevant because they're the ones that are like doing things to a very high quality and very, very tight specification. And yeah, maybe they're changing with the times, but like a classic look, like a classic tuxedo or a suit is always going to be a classic tuxedo or a suit. Like there's certain things that, if you do well, it's always going to be done well. And then there's like some of these fashion brands that like come into trend that we've seen like come and go over our lifetime. Do you remember in the 90s Janko jeans?
Nah, it sounds like some rich people shit. Was it like FUBU
No. Yeah, it was
or
like FUBU.
Echo?
Yeah, you
Okay,
would
all
wear
right,
that
then.
with your
Yes,
FUBU and your Echo. Yeah, they had these like
tough.
really long back pockets and they were like super baggy. And it was
Did
like
you
I
have a
remember
pair?
like what's that?
Did you have what were the mod something mod pants? Something? Do you remember those? They were like fucking. They were like nurses scrubs. Mod
I
robes.
don't
Mod robes. That was the thing. Do you guys have those?
I don't remember those. No.
What were yours called?
Janko, JNCO.
That just
It,
sounds like a trailer
it's
park.
oh yeah, dude. It's peak trailer park. Yeah. And just like all this dumb shit that like it's like okay, maybe they had these jeans that like maybe were kind of like niche specific cool for like skaters or something in the 90s, but they're not still around. Like no one's buying Janko jeans now. And that's like what these programs are, like FUBU jerseys with like number five, was it number 5 on the FUBUs?
Oh, I have no idea.
I don't. They
I
always
don't
had the
know.
same number on them. I don't know, but it's like these things were around for a minute and then they go away, and that's what this program is. It's like this isn't going to age well. This isn't going to be something that someone in their 40s is going to do into their 60s, or someone in their 20s now is going to do 20 years from now. Like it's not this specific thing that this is a benchmark that you should be doing at this time. Like it's not going to age well, and people that are that classic tuxedo metaphorically in their training and their methodology, like they're always going to be around because they know how to play the man, they know how to adjust the exercise for the person in front of them. And that's the big thing that's missing here.